ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
We are ready to go. It's your Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 for this Tuesday, October 8th. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We're going to get things started with our text line this hour at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Today was the day I headed over to Marshall University to hear a little bit from Coach Huff. So we're going to play some of that back for you here in the next few minutes as we're getting set for Marshall and Georgia Southern. This one should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to this one. I might have said that yesterday. I'm looking forward to this one because I remember Georgia Southern being just that program with some swagger back in the 1AA days. And I remember Marshall going down there and just not having a good experience early on. And then once this team became a member of the Southern Conference, all of a sudden I remember, Marshall reminded you your place. It was a good rivalry. It was not the longest running rivalry, but still it was a fun rivalry. And I'll tell you what, hopefully we'll get another game coming up on Saturday. That's going to be another one of those fun ones. Of course, it's going to be a nighttime game. So hopefully you're going to be able to stay up late with us. And if you do, don't forget, after the game, we're going to be coming back with you with our post-game coverage. So we'll hopefully have a lot to talk about. And I'm hoping that we're going to be able to talk about a Marshall win. So if you just compare these two historically, and again, it's not App State, but there are some games in this that I circle and I compare. I mean, Marshall's got the overall series lead in this, but the first time I remember anything about Georgia Southern, we got to go back to 1989, and here I am, 1989. Yeah, I'm walking the hallways of Marshall University. I'm walking the hallways of the communications building here. I mean, for the first time, young Paul Swann is walking the hallways of the campus radio station and being introduced to a younger Dr. Charles G. Bailey as I was beginning my broadcasting career. And, Marshall had some success starting to ramp up the program. And 1AA, I remember we're coming just a couple years off going to Pocatello, Idaho. We're coming off a season that I think a lot of people were hoping that would turn into a championship run, and it came close. But I think it 88 was the year that the Furman, that game where Marshall maybe got hosed by the officials. I believe that be the case. But I got to go back all the way to 1989, my first real understanding of, Georgia Southern, this program's, they're pretty good. They're a program that has some history. They've won some championships. They're a big deal. I remember when Jim Donnan took the job at Georgia, he was described as being the head coach at Marshall, and Marshall was like the current Georgia Southern. That's how Marshall was described when Jim Donnan left. But in 1989, the Herd under George Chomp got crushed 63-31. And let me tell you, they were definitely full of themselves that day. I remember watching the television broadcast. I don't know, I think it was a WSAZ broadcast. It might have been. And you could see them on the sideline. They're taunting, the typical "this is our house" kind of stuff. And from that day on, I'm like, I do not like this Georgia Southern team. I don't care. I don't like them. And it's been a great rivalry ever since. And then 1990, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to get these guys. And Marshall loses that one 17-14. After that, the next time these two teams will meet will be 1993. Jim Donnan's your coach, and 13-3 victory for the Thundering Herd. On top of that, in Statesboro, Georgia, the Herd goes down in 1994, wins that one 34-10. So far, so good. 1995, 37-7. So the Herd's rolling. 1996 in Statesboro, it was a closer contest than I would have liked, but 29-13 in favor of the Thundering Herd. And then We get to modern times, and in 2022, the Herd goes down, wins that one 23-10. And then last year, a lot closer than I would have liked, 38-33. And I think Clay Helton's done a fantastic job with that program. So Marshall's got a 6-game win streak going on right now. And Marshall has not lost since 1990. The next one was 1993. So the last time Marshall lost to a Georgia Southern team was 1990. Let's keep that streak alive. And so that's my fond memory of Georgia Southern, just the rude awakening with the introduction of those two programs. And I wish they would have been able to play more. But you get Georgia Southern in the Southern Conference, and all of a sudden I think that became a really good rivalry. It's short time, but still it was a good rivalry for the programs, and I would have loved to have seen it continue, but Marshall makes that move to the Mid-American Conference, and then you don't play those games as much anymore. And so now you've got that series back, and it probably doesn't have the same feel for a lot of fans that Appalachian State does. And again, we got to go back. A lot of people that maybe have these fond memories are coming up from my generation, a little younger, maybe a little older, coming up when I was coming up, watching these games, remembering the Southern Conference. And of course, again, we got to go back all the way to 1989. That is technically when I began my radio career. It was at the campus radio station. It was Marshall. And I started there, and that's when Marshall started playing Georgia Southern. And I have just, that game stuck with me, and I've remembered it to this day. So when Marshall was extended an invitation to the Sun Belt, I was excited for the opportunity to see Marshall play Georgia Southern, because it was a rivalry that I thought really could have been something special. And of course, the other team's got to win. We don't want that, but the other team's got to win to really make it truly a rivalry. But I'm okay with just the general disgust, respectfully, general disgust, and Marshall just dominate this series. I'd be okay with that. Let's hope that winning streak goes to 7 on Saturday. So it should be a fun one. We've got it for you right here. We go on the air at 5 o'clock. We're going to be at Giovanni's 20th Street for our pregame coverage. Kicks off at 8 o'clock, then stick around after the game. It's going to be a little late, but if we're talking about a Marshall win, I'm sure you won't mind staying up with me. We'll be breaking it down after and talking about what's up next for the Thundering Herd. All that's on Saturday, but we're going to hear from Coach Huff when we continue, and we're going to hear from you. If you're maybe of an older generation, you remember those games, you remember some of those games, you can text in right now, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line to be a part of today's show here. If you were someone who maybe grew up around that time, or you were a Herd fan, you remember those games, you know, what stood out to you about Georgia Southern, or what do you like about this rivalry now, if maybe you're newer to it? So that's the text line this hour. When we continue, we're going to hear a little bit from Coach Huff, get you started with our game week preparations as Marshall taking on Georgia Southern, and we're going to be talking about it next and all this week here on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius, or two half geniuses, and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Now is the time to add on a new bathroom or remodel your old one with the latest up-to-date bathroom fixtures from Mutual Wholesalers, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Come in today to Mutual Wholesalers' beautiful showroom and see how your new bathroom will look. Check out Acre by Max. Have a new bathroom this year. Mutual Wholesalers, locally owned and operated, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Call 304-525-9118.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the tri-state. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kitty Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
At Poca Valley Bank, a handshake can still mean the start of a great relationship. We've been greeting customers with a handshake since 1908. Why settle for less? If you're purchasing your first home or planning for your future, Poca Valley Bank is here to support you with personalized service and local expertise. They are your trusted advisors. Why settle for less when you can experience banking with a team that truly cares? Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Visit PocaValleyBank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. It's that time of year again, football season. Frank's has you covered from Marshall, WVU, the rest of college football to the NFL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials they have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff, even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
160,000 kids stay home from school every day for the same reason: bullying. This is Dale Lee, president of the West Virginia Education Association. Bullying impacts nearly 1/3 of all students every year, but parents, educators, and concerned adults can make a difference. It takes just one caring adult to intervene and help stop the bullying. Victims need an adult that will listen, will stand up for them, and most importantly, show them that they are not alone. Bullying and cyberbullying have far-reaching effects, from a decline in academic performance to physical illness, depression, or worse. Help us create a safe, bully-free learning environment for all students in West Virginia. One caring adult can make all the difference. Take the pledge to be that adult at nea.org/bullyfree.
A message from the West Virginia Education Association.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
Coming up tomorrow on the program, we're going to be speaking with Terry Harvin. He was a punter for Georgia Southern from 1986 to 1990. Of course, he's now on the broadcast crew that'll be calling the Georgia Southern Marshall matchup. We're going to talk to him tomorrow. If you remember, he was on with us last year. He was a lot of fun, so looking forward to talking to him again. Of course, he was in Huntington for that game in 1990, so he's part of the reason why Marshall lost that game. So I won't hold that against him too long, but he's going to be our guest tomorrow on the program. We've got time for your text. We're opening up that right now, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. You can also find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Paul Swann. Coach Huff earlier today speaking to the media, so we've got a lot to break down and get into this week. So let's start about at the beginning, when he talked a little bit about this week's opponent, the Georgia Southern Eagles.
A lot of things we got to get cleaned up. Excited about this opportunity against a really good opponent. Coach Helton and I have known each other for a while just through coaching, but obviously have gotten closer through being in the same conference and being at Sunbelt Media Days and Sunbelt Coaches Meetings, and a lot of respect for what he's done. A lot of respect for him from afar for a long time in my career, and then obviously getting a chance to meet him. Phenomenal football family, phenomenal football mind. He's done it at the highest level. And you can tell he's built a program there that has really gotten better each year. They're returning a lot of production from last year. You can kind of look, they've kind of taken leaps and bounds in all departments, since he's gotten there. So it's going to be a challenge down there on Saturday night. We got a lot of things to do to get ready from a preparation standpoint on our end to control what we can control. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Okay, so a lot of respect there. And for Coach Helton, I mean, he was part of that USC squad that went to the Rose Bowl, won a title in 2016. I mean, he was the head coach at USC in 2016, 10-3, Rose Bowl. 2017, head coach at USC, 11-3, the Cotton Bowl there. And then, of course, with mixed results the next few years. Got to the Holiday Bowl in 2019, the Camellia Bowl in 2022 with Georgia Southern, and then in 2023, the Myrtle Beach Bowl with Georgia Southern. Did not make it very long at USC, because if you're not going to the Rose almost every year, you're not winning 10, 11 games, you could have a tremendous team, and if you're not making it a certain threshold. I mean, he did last longer than a lot. He was at USC for a long time, so taking over as the head coach of Georgia Southern, and it's good to see him, and it's good to have him on the sidelines. I think he's one of the better coaches, actually, in the conference. So he's definitely going to be a challenge for Marshall on Saturday. Something else about him as well. I mean, just to kind of give you an idea of what you're facing. And even though Coach Huff has had success first two meetings, he was the first USC head coach to have 10-win seasons in each of his first two full seasons. He's played quarterback. He knows the position. And so he's got a lot of experience. And I expect some good things for Georgia Southern over the next few years with him as the coach. Hopefully not that good coming up on Saturday. Now, one of the questions I was asked of Coach Huff, we got to talk about the quarterback. Here we go again. Stone Earl, he started to win our hearts. We started to rally behind Stone Earl. And then Coach throws a curveball at us and App State, and here he is, Braylon Braxton, and he does a phenomenal job. Now, Coach was asked about what the plan is, and being a savvy veteran now, he's not just going to spell it out for us, but there is a plan, and he's got the difficulty of trying to make sure he's got the right guy for the right situation. He talked a little bit more about what the quarterback plan is.
Yeah, I think it's always a plan without getting too preparation, tipping my hat. We've always planned to do that, unless one of them is unavailable due to the physical. But every game we've always planned to do that, and it doesn't always go as planned. Meaning, sometimes you get in sometimes you get in the games and the other guy is in a groove and the offense is moving. It's efficient. You would look like a bad head coach if I'd have went and said, okay, Braylon, you got 4 touchdowns. Hey, come out, Stone, you're in. And all of a sudden, things don't go the way you think they should go. So you kind of it's kind of like you go with what pitch is working. We have a plan each week based on field zone. We have a plan each week based on scheme and what we're trying to do. We have a plan each week based on the reaction from the defense on certain things. But Coach Deggy says to the offense all the time, we're going to do what's working. We told the wideouts back in camp, there may be a game where you block more than you get to run routes. There may be a game where you don't ever block and we ask you to catch, 20, 30 balls because that's what the defense is telling us we need to do. So there's always a plan. We kind of go by – we have a plan. We meet on, the beginning of the week. And we have a plan. That's what we like to do. We get in the game. We kind of see, I think a lot that goes into preparation.
He's got a plan. You got all that, right? He's got a plan. Here's one thing that he did point out. The other team has had an off week. So here we go. Another team has had a bye week before the Thundering Herd. And they also have a plan.
And they're preparing too. So they had a bye week. So we're expecting something a little different. We're expecting a wrinkle or, an improvement on the area that we may see as, hey, this is an area we can attack. They may have seen that as an area they need to strengthen. So we kind of react to how the flow of the game is going, and probably more of how the flow of the offense is going.
So knowing is half the battle, or some 80s cartoon told me. Knowing is half the battle. Marshall, of course, with Coach Huff, has probably taken some flack. Is that fair to say? I think Coach Huff has taken some flack, maybe unfairly, because we're sitting here, we're talking about the game right now. We're talking about which quarterback we think should start based off of what? A few games, a couple of glimpses of quarterbacks, and Coach has been with them for a long time now. So I will stand up for him on that one. And you question sometimes, okay, which quarterback's going to be the guy? Who's going to be the player that needs to be in the game? Well, why isn't Braylon in there? Why isn't Stone in there? Why isn't Cole in there? We all have a why isn't question or statement to make. And Coach, as he continued in his statement, talked about just being able to know the capabilities and the deficits and kind of preparing and trying to make sure that they minimize their deficiencies and their deficits, playing to their strengths. And maybe, just maybe, the right guy to start at quarterback isn't necessarily the guy we think should be the one starting. And he talked a little bit about that today.
It's not Little League, so it's not like, hey, Johnny, go try it. We know the deficiencies of each guy. We know what each guy does well. What each guy gives us. So sometimes even the guy who's, got the hot hand, or the guy who's in, maybe he's not doing well. But going to the other guy is not going to fix the problem sometimes, if that makes sense. You can't just say, if we'd have started Braylon against Ohio State, I don't know if he'd have ran around that effectively, if that makes sense. So there's always a plan. There's always adjustments. And now what I think we've done a really good job of on offense especially is we're minimizing our deficiencies. We know what our deficiencies are. We know what our strengths are. We're minimizing those, some of it through scheme, some of it through efficiency. We weren't good in last year. We weren't good on third down. Well, a good chunk of those were third and +8. It's going to be tough to do that. It's going to be tough to be great at third and +8. So we've been a lot more efficient on first and second down, so that way we stayed out of some of those. A big piece that shows up, knock on wood, we're not committing as many penalties. So now you're not in first and 20. You're not in first and 15. That affects third down. So there are some things that we're doing that we plan to do to kind of, mask our deficiencies to allow us to have, steady drives.
That's Coach Huff. We're breaking down today's presser. Going to be listening to Coach all this week as we get you closer to kickoff, and we find out more about the opponent, Georgia Southern. We're going to take a quick break, come back. We got more from Coach Huff. To get into that, we'll hear from you as well. Our text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. It's the Herd and the Eagles coming up on Saturday, and you'll be able to listen to it right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Every day, Cintas service reps help businesses get ready for the workday. They provide freshly laundered workwear delivered every week. Mats, mops, restroom and cleaning supplies. First aid and safety products to help your employees stay safe. They even test and inspect fire extinguishers and emergency lights. Cintas helps keep your business running smoothly. See what Cintas can do for you. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
One of the best tickets in town will always be activities at our local schools. Athletic events, concerts, and plays. You can always count on an enjoyable time. Our children are the future. Let's give them all the encouragement that we can. Go to a game, hear a concert, see a play. Ohio Valley Bank. Community first. Member FDIC.
Hey, Tri-State, there is a place to shop at. The Huntington's Peddlers Mall is now open in the historic Central City District in Huntington. Over 200 vendors specializing in vintage antiques, home decor, furniture, collectibles, new mattresses, and everything in between. Peddlers Mall, located 800 14th Street West in Huntington. It's the place to go. Open 7 days a week. Visit anytime. Check out the website, peddlersmall.com, for more information. It's the Tri-State place to shop, Huntington's Peddlers Mall.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the Tri-State. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kitty Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
Hey Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. It's that time of year again, football season. Frank's has you covered from Marshall, WVU, the rest of college football to the NFL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials they have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think you would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We continue on with this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour is going to be 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've been listening to Coach Huff, his presser earlier today. We're breaking down this week's matchup throughout the week. And today we're just giving a general overview of what we can expect between Marshall and Georgia Southern on Saturday. Our text line is open. Let's fire that up. We haven't done that this hour, so let's go there first. Texter says, Paul, make the opposing defense lose their mind. Put two quarterbacks in a shotgun formation. That would be something, wouldn't it? You have two quarterbacks, shotgun formation. Which one blocks better? Like, look, okay, Stone, you're gonna have to block. Can you do it? We're gonna put you out there. You're gonna block. What if you come out in like a wildcat formation? Just to mess with them a little bit, do something. Because as you heard Coach earlier say, they've had some time, so maybe they're going to throw in a wrinkle or two. But I like this. I like where you're going with this. Come out to quarterback formation, Stone on one side, Braylon Braxton on the other side. Maybe you mess with him a little bit more. Maybe Cole comes out just to take the first snap. I don't know. And they flip out. I don't know if you can continue this, because it's a 50-50 shot now if you're going with Stone Earl or Braylon Braxton. Like, okay, we got to prepare for both these guys. And then maybe this is the game that Cole Pennington just comes out and drops 4 touchdowns on him. Who knows? I like what you're doing. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Also from the text line, texter says, Paul, this is off topic, but 18 days until we bring on the Herd in the Henderson Center against Pikeville. I'm excited to see Coach Jackson is Herd this season. I think a lot of people are excited. You get a fresh new look at the Thundering Herd with Coach Jackson. This is going to be his first opportunity to lead the Herd. You're going to see a little bit more of what this team looks like. See where it's the same with what Coach D'Antoni might have put out there and where it's different. And, of course, you want to make a first impression. You want to make a good first impression. So this is going to be an exciting opportunity, I think. 18 days, is that really how close we are? I lost track. I knew it was coming up, but 18 days, that's crazy. Also from the text line, how old or young is Coach Huff? He has coached with I-Knows, talks with opposing team coaches, and tells us Huff has a network, and that is good. I think that is good that he's not just an island unto himself. I mean, that's one thing that I like about Coach Huff is he is a personal human being, and he's got a network. He's got a network of people. If you remember, he's been in coaching for 20 years now. He went to Hampton, so he was coming out of Hampton in 2005. And he was a graduate assistant there. And then he coached the offensive line in 2006, 2007, and 2008 at Tennessee State. Actually, in 2007-8, he was special teams coordinator and tight ends. But, Alabama, 2019 to 20, Mississippi State, 2018. He was at Penn State for several years. So he's got a nice network of coaches that he can call upon. And so he's definitely been able to have sort of that network, because you're going to have to. If you're going to be a head coach, you're going to have to know coaches. You're going to have to know people. You're going to have to be able to, okay, I got to replace this coach. I got to call someone up. I got to bring someone in. I'm going to need a new offensive coordinator. So who do I call? Well, you call up people that's in your network that you know, or somebody in your network knows. So that's what you do. And I know, long answer here. You want to know how old he was. He's 41 years old too. He's 41 years old. I mean, he's friends with Ricky Ronnie. I'm sure you've picked that up. If you haven't really been listening to some of his comments. So he's been around the block a few times, but I wouldn't call him an old coach, and I don't know if Coach will appreciate this. I'm not saying he's a young coach either, but he's got some seasoning to him now. He's definitely has some veteran qualities that he's picked up over the last few years. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Since we're talking about Coach Huff, we should hear from Coach Huff. One thing I've talked about is the game itself, Marshall, Georgia Southern, how I think it's going to be pretty cool because I like this rivalry. I'm a big fan of the matchup between the two, and I know it's a limited matchup, but there are some games we can point to. There is some history there. I'm sure that the folks in Statesboro maybe didn't appreciate the swagger in which Marshall started to take things over, and maybe the swagger that Marshall fans have to this day over Georgia Southern. I mean, you got 6 straight wins over this program that in the early part of the 80s, this was the program. And so it's going to be a fun atmosphere. It's a nighttime game. I think they're going to do it with the whiteout, right? They're going to really make this an event. So nighttime games are always fun, especially on a Saturday night. And so that atmosphere, how's it going to compare? What's it going to be like? I'm going to give you a hint. This is just me. Marshall's played in Columbus this year. I don't know if Georgia Southern has anything that's going to compare with that, but it should be good.
Every day, Cintas service reps help businesses get ready for the workday.
I think, again, the Sun Belt Conference is a very competitive league with a lot of passionate fan bases. They are a big part of the game day experience. But if you go into any of these games thinking because there's nobody here or there are people here that's going to affect how the team on the field plays, you're probably going to be in for a long night. I think our guys have gotten to the point based on I think our schedule helped us. We've played in some really good environments. We've been to some really massive places. We've been to some loud environments. So I think that helps, kind of going down the road. I expect it to be unbelievable. I know their fan base does a really good job. I know a lot of our fans will travel down just because of the history and tradition between this region. Hopefully our guys are more focused on what's on the field rather than how many white shirts are in the stands. But I think, again, it just shows where the Sun Belt Conference is going from a fan impact standpoint. There's not a lot of Group of 5 schools or conferences that are having the fan backing continuously for multiple reasons. And I think the Sun Belt, obviously, you look at our crowd that was here last weekend, phenomenal. And it's down, attendance is down across the country because there's so many other things to do. You can sit at home and watch 12 games instead of watching one. So when you talk about a conference in schools that consistently have these type of environments, you can't take them for granted as a player or a coach.
He's absolutely right. You can't take anything for granted, and the experience at home sometimes is going to be better. So you got to make sure the experience at the game is better. I'm 100% on board with that. Make that experience the best it possibly can be and make me want to come to the game. Because I can watch it at home. I can listen to it on my radio. I could watch several games. And so he's right. Some of these places are pretty special, the way they get up for their team. And I thought that we had a really good crowd on Saturday for the Herd. Hopefully we'll see that again. I'd like to see 30,000 at least. Get that thing up to capacity and pack it some more. So hopefully we'll see that if Marshall can continue to win. One more from Coach Huff. I meant to play this one earlier, but now's a good spot for it. Injury report. How's the Herd doing health-wise? And specifically, Elijah Metcalf. He was asked a little bit about his status earlier in the presser, and here's what Coach had to say.
No, there's no update on him. We're more of a walk-through operation on Monday, so it really – if you looked out there Monday, you wouldn't think anybody was going to play. But it's more of a, kind of get them out and get them moving base stuff. So we'll know more today because today's our kind of I won't say full scrimmage, but today's our more tempo practice. We'll know more today. I think again we talked about it back in the summer, and I said that I felt that the wide receiver room was probably the most competitive room we had, position group wise. There's a lot of guys in there that haven't even tapped their potential or their opportunities, and that's the other part that happens. Sometimes when a guy does go down, like Metcalf went down, it gave some other guys opportunity. Chuck Montgomery got an opportunity in the second half because of a guy not being there. So I think again it's good because that room is probably the deepest room we have as far as talent. It's going to give some guys some opportunities, and we're getting to that point where we got to start tapping into more guys who can help, because you can't have the same, 4 wide receivers play every play. So the ability for us to have some depth in that room is comforting, and the ability for us to be at a point to where offensively, I'm not going to say we're the same, but we're really consistent with what we're doing. We're moving some things around, but we're not truly reinstalling a game plan every week. So it gives those guys a chance that maybe didn't get a ton of reps, early in the season to get some opportunities.
That is Coach Huff breaking it down for us. We're going to hear more from him throughout the week. We're going to hear more from you. Our text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line to be a part of the program. A couple of texts before we head to the break. Texter says, Paul, the 8 o'clock kickoff is perfect because I can hit the Chili Fest and then go home and watch the game. Go Herd. That's right. Go get you some chili. I'm going to be at Giovanni's, by the way, so you got to come get some pizza as well. You can do Chili Fest. That's fine. Come have a great time. You got to come do the pizza at Giovanni's. I'll be there at 5 o'clock. I'll be waiting to see you, and we're going to have pizza, and we're going to talk about the Herd all evening long right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I've got a weather question. Will Hurricane Milton affect the game? I'm going to say no, but I am not a meteorologist. But I do know one, and we'll get you a weather update closer to the game time. Of course, a lot of relief efforts going on right now with Helene, and I'm hoping that we can weather the storm here with Milton as well. And I hope that hope everyone stays safe. It's been definitely a trying few weeks as far as these hurricanes are concerned, and I think everybody's putting hopefully safety first. But at the same time, to answer your question, I don't think it's going to impact. But we'll get a little bit more of an accurate forecast here in the next couple of days. I'm hoping that it doesn't, to be honest. Quick timeout. We will continue. Your texts are welcome. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Save big on everything when you shop at Menards. We carry a great selection of automotive accessories and maintenance products from the most trusted brands to help keep your vehicle on the road. Stay-Built Fuel Stabilizer keeps your fuel fresh in storage for up to 24 months, and it works with all gasoline blends. Pick up Stay-Built Fuel Stabilizer on sale now through October 13th. View our weekly flyer on Menards.com. Check out all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Everyday Cintas service reps help businesses get ready for the workday. They provide freshly laundered workwear delivered every week. Mats, mops, restroom and cleaning supplies. First aid and safety products to help your employees stay safe. They even test and inspect fire extinguishers and emergency lights. Cintas helps keep your business running smoothly. See what Cintas can do for you. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
You've cut back on everything and you're still coming up short at the end of the month. Give your local State Farm agent a call for a free discount double check. They'll show you how something as simple as combining car and home policies can save you hundreds of dollars a year. Being there to help keep more of your money is why your local State Farm agent is here. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
In Huntington, Jeff Smith, 304-781-1234. And in Wayne, Vicky Tabor, 304-272-5149.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union has been serving the Huntington community for 70 years and is proud to announce our newest location in Lavalette is now open. Wayne County residents, you now have access to a modern banking facility, a full range of services, advanced technology, expert financial advice, and even a smart coffee kiosk cafe. Learn more about Metro Community Federal Credit Union online at metrocommunityfcu.com or visit us today on 5th Street Road.
Equal housing lender, member NCUA.
Hey, Lex, I got a question for you about our friends over at K&B Pest Control.
Shoot.
Do you think they'll eliminate my mother-in-law?
I think so.
She's in the house, kind of pesky.
From what I understand, they'll kill for your business, so you might want to have a talk.
No, these guys are great, man. Locally owned and operated in Huntington, West Virginia, serving the tri-state area. Free estimates, highly skilled staff. There's specialized training and inspections and solutions. So no matter what's going on, they'll figure it out. They'll find out where these pests are coming from, and they will eliminate them.
Yep, and you can even do comparisons with their Facebook page. They got real pest pics. This is when the critters start coming out, Terrence, so if you're seeing problems like they have on their Facebook page, call 304-523-4281.
Go ahead and ask for Patrick or Becca. They will hook you up. Promise. We promise you. It's KNBPestControl.com. Go ahead and hit them up online as well. K&B Pest Control, they will kill for your business.
Trust the guys with over 40 years of experience at K&B Pest Control.
Giovanni's has great Italian dishes. Spaghetti with meat sauce, lasagna, ravioli, manicotti, all dinners served with hot garlic bread or Italian rolls. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Chapman's Mortuary and Crematory, Huntington's only on-site crematory, 2851 3rd Avenue, Huntington. Chapmans-mortuary.com. Burt's Pet Center, your one-stop pet store, 480 Russell Plaza Drive, Ashland, Kentucky. Mark Porter Auto Group, home of the Car Ferry. Online at markporterautogroup.com.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to our Tuesday edition, the final segment for today's Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK. That is 304-396-8255. Trying to follow up, we had a question a few minutes ago asking if the weather, the hurricane's going to affect the game this weekend. And right now, and I'm paraphrasing a lot of this here, just I don't want to go into too many details, but I did ask a couple of folks, and of course, you know, when you have friends of the program, like, say, renowned meteorologist Spencer Adkins, he doesn't anticipate anything impacting, at least up here, or he doesn't think so. Again, let's see what it does first before we go on record with anything. But right now, unless that storm takes a different path, I think it's going to be fine, but there are what might be considered trickle-out impacts. That's the thing. So we don't know what the trickle-out impacts will be, but that hurricane is going to have to take a different direction for it to really impact that game. So I think we're fine as far as the game being played. Now, there's probably some questions about other logistical items. Here's something to keep in mind. For those of you that are traveling, one, how many of you are traveling? If you're going down there, what's the logistics going to look like here? Because there are a lot of people who are displaced right now. So what's the hotel situation look like? Are hotel rooms booked up pretty much right now? Do you have reservations? Did you lose reservations? If there are people that are occupying those space right now, will you possibly lose your reservation? If, hey, sorry, we're taking care of some displaced people right now. I mean, I don't know what the logistics are going to look like here. And I think the weather itself, unless this hurricane changes the path, we're going to be fine. And again, I'm talking to a couple of folks. I'm even checking in with, our good friend Spencer Atkins from Channel 13. I'm not giving you just my opinion on this. I'm actually talking to him. And so I think we're going to be okay as far as the game itself. Let's, again, revisit this in a couple of days as far as the weather is concerned. If you are traveling down, of course, always check before you head down. Make sure that you can get to where you're needing to go, and also plan properly. I think we'll be fine, but there are probably some things to keep in mind. Logistics, make sure you have your space. You have a room. Are you going down? Are you going to try to maybe head down, head back? I've done that before. I've gone down and then went right back up. So those are some of the things to keep in mind. But we'll keep an eye on the weather. Obviously, we are concerned about everybody's well-being and hoping that when the impact hits land, wherever that's going to be, that we can minimize the damage of this thing. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our number. You can be a part of the show that way, or you can also find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Paul Swann. So we'll be previewing more of the game tomorrow with Coach Huff. Also on the program tomorrow, we have confirmed Terry Harvin, former punter, Georgia Southern. He's on the radio network now. He's the color analyst. He is going to give us a breakdown of what this matchup looks like from the Georgia Southern perspective. Of course, just to remind you, he was in Huntington for that 1990 game. It was that 17-14 win for Georgia Southern. He punted 7 times. I don't know if he even remembers this. He punted 7 times. He averaged 39.4 yards per punt. He had a long of 44. Former punter. We're going to find out what he remembers from that game tomorrow as well. And, of course, we'll get an overview of what we can expect from the game this weekend. And he'll probably give us a little bit more of an idea of what's the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. And then, of course, we're hoping that the damage can be minimized for everything in Florida and nothing splinters off and causes even more chaos. So we're just going to keep everybody in our thoughts and prayers. So that's coming up on the show tomorrow. And, of course, you can text in as well. You can be a part of that. Questions for him, we'll answer them tomorrow. All right, big game coming up. I think it's going to be fun. I'm excited because I want to see what Marshall looks like on defense against this offense of Georgia Southern. Yeah, J.C. French, I like this kid. He's averaging over 300 yards a game, and I think he's going to be tough. I like their running attack. We'll get into that more this week with Coach Huff, since they've got a two-headed running back monster back there. And I think what might be deceptive about this team is if you look at just their pure stats. Okay, this team's almost given up 500 yards per game. Okay, hey, Marshall should light the scoreboard up on this team. But they did face a team like Ole Miss. Marshall similar. Marshall faced Ohio State, Virginia Tech. And so I think this is a team that's going to be a lot better than those numbers indicate. I think those numbers are inflated, obviously. Same with Marshall. This is going to be a tough team. I'm not trying to oversell them. I'm not trying to undersell them. I think this is going to be a tough team for the Thundering Herd. And they've got a really good running attack. And I don't know if you remember this kid, Derwin Burgess Jr. He has the school record for consecutive games with a reception right now, 32. So he has definitely been a top performer. He's a guy, you need a reception. Where's Burgess at? So he's going to be somebody you keep an eye on this week. So we'll go over all of this coming up throughout the next few days as we get you closer to the kick. But tomorrow should be fun. I'm looking forward to talking more about Georgia Southern with Terry Harvin, and he'll be our guest tomorrow on the program. That's going to do it for this edition here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We'll be back with you tomorrow, same time, 5:06 here. Until then, if you missed any part of the show today, you want to go back, you want to listen to something, you can do that. Get your podcast app ready. We've got you covered. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we've got you covered on those apps. Also, you can go and get our app. It's on the website, WRVC.com. You just download that. The links are right there. It'll take you right to where you need to go. You download the app. You can listen to the station when we stream the show live. You can listen to the podcast. We've got a podcast tab on the app. So it's a great way to follow along. I appreciate everyone for following along today. And I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 at AM 930. Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC, W231BS Huntington.